When someone starts to ignore you, it's easy to assume the worst, that they've lost interest, moved on, or never truly cared in the first place. But the truth is often far more complex, especially when dealing with emotionally avoidant or overwhelmed individuals. Silence is not always a sign of indifference. In many cases, it's the exact opposite. For someone who has developed deep feelings but doesn't know how to process or express them, ignoring you can be a way to cope with emotional intensity. It's not about pushing you away because you mean nothing. It's about needing space because you mean too much. This kind of emotional suppression is often rooted in fear of vulnerability, fear of rejection, fear of being seen in a way that feels too raw or exposed. When these individuals begin to care deeply, their instincts don't guide them toward intimacy. Instead, their survival patterns kick in. They pull away, shut down, and create distance to regain control over feelings that threaten to overpower them. It's not because they've stopped thinking about you. It's because they can't stop, and that's exactly what makes them retreat. You're constantly in their thoughts, but the emotional weight of those thoughts becomes too much to handle all at once. Their silence, then, is not a dismissal of your value, but a reflection of their inner conflict. They are torn between the safety of emotional detachment and the risk of connection. This avoidance is a self-protective measure. They don't want to lose themselves in the emotions that you stir in them. Often they need time to process what they're feeling without the added pressure of being seen, of being vulnerable in front of someone who affects them so deeply. So while on the outside it may look like they're ignoring you, on the inside there's a storm of feelings they're wrestling with. You've activated something powerful within them, something they haven't learned how to manage yet. That internal chaos doesn't vanish just because they've pulled away. In fact, in many cases, the space they create is where their thoughts about you echo the loudest. Ignoring someone doesn't always mean they've forgotten about them. In fact, the opposite is often true. When a person is caught in a cycle of obsessive thinking, especially about someone they have unresolved feelings for, the physical distance they create can actually intensify their mental and emotional attachment. Instead of moving on, they begin replaying conversations, overanalyzing actions, and imagining scenarios. You become the center of their internal dialogue, even though they act distant or silent on the outside. This kind of mental fixation is especially common when someone feels overwhelmed, confused, or emotionally triggered. They may feel out of control around you, too vulnerable, too exposed, so they create space to feel safer. But in that space, instead of finding peace, they find more thoughts of you. They wonder what you're thinking, if you've noticed their absence, if you're missing them the way they're missing you. Every little interaction is dissected and magnified in their mind. The silence is not an empty void. It's filled with their overthinking. Their ego may push them to act like they've moved on, but their subconscious keeps pulling them back to you. They might check your social media, scroll through old messages, or think about reaching out only to stop themselves out of fear or pride. They are haunted not just by your presence, but by the idea of what they've left unresolved. And every time they ignore you, the mental attachment only grows deeper. You're the subject of their inner world, whether they like it or not. This is why emotional distance doesn't always equal disinterest. Sometimes the ones who pull away the hardest are the ones who feel the most. Their minds become a battlefield where desire fights against fear, and you are right at the center of it. Ignoring you is not about forgetting you. It's about managing a storm of thoughts and feelings they don't yet know how to handle. You're not out of sight. You're everywhere in their mind. Mixed signals are often one of the most confusing and emotionally exhausting experiences in any connection. One moment they're warm, engaging, and seem deeply connected, and the next they're distant, cold, or completely unresponsive. This back and Fourth behavior is not random, it's a window into their internal struggle. When someone is caught between the desire to be close and the fear of being vulnerable, their actions begin to contradict themselves. They might reach out, flirt, or show care, only to suddenly pull back without warning. These conflicting behaviors are not signs of manipulation in many cases. They are signs of emotional turmoil. People who exhibit this kind of push-pull behavior are often battling deep-rooted fears. They may fear rejection, abandonment, or losing their independence. When they start to feel emotionally drawn to someone, their defenses rise. The very act of getting close triggers anxiety and self-protection. But that doesn't stop the longing. They still want you, still think about you, and still crave the connection. What results is a pattern of getting close enough to feel something, then backing away just before it becomes too real or too intense. This dance is a constant struggle between emotional desire and protective fear. These mixed signals are their way of trying to control something that feels uncontrollable. They care, but they're afraid to show it fully. They want to be near you, but they don't know how to handle the emotions that come with intimacy. So they send signals that confuse you, because they're confused themselves. Their messages are inconsistent because their emotional state is inconsistent. It's not that they don't know what they want. It's that what they want feels dangerous to them. Understanding this can help you see that mixed signals are not always a sign to walk away in frustration. Sometimes they're an unintentional cry for help, a sign that the person is struggling to balance their fear with their feelings. If they didn't care, they wouldn't engage at all. The fact that they keep coming back, even if inconsistently, often means you're still very much on their mind. They're just trying to manage that in the only way they know how. When someone pulls away yet still finds subtle ways to remain connected to your world, watching your stories, asking about you through mutual friends, liking old photos, or showing up in places where you might be, they're not over you. They may be ignoring you on the surface, but their actions reveal an emotional tie they haven't cut. What's happening beneath the silence is far more powerful than what's being said or done outwardly. You've become a mirror for them, a reflection of their unresolved emotions, fears, and desires. Being around you forces them to face things within themselves they've long avoided. Your presence stirs something deep inside them. It challenges the version of themselves they've constructed to stay emotionally safe. They may have built walls, adopted avoidant patterns, or lived a life carefully protected from emotional vulnerability. Then you came along, your energy, your authenticity, your emotional depth. Something about it bypassed their defenses. And instead of confronting those feelings directly, they retreat. But even in that retreat, they can't fully disconnect. Why? Because your impact wasn't surface level, it struck a core part of who they are. Their behavior becomes a reflection of that inner tug-of-war. They ignore you to create space, but they can't help staying connected in ways that feel low risk to them. Watching from afar feels safer than engaging directly. They may try to convince themselves they're just being cautious or protecting their peace, but the truth is, they're still drawn to your presence. You are both a trigger and a temptation. Ignoring you doesn't erase your emotional fingerprint, it just temporarily removes the pressure of confronting what that connection brings up for them. Every silent move they make, every quiet attempt to stay aware of your life, is a sign that your presence lingers in their thoughts. You are more than just someone they once knew. You are someone who awakened something inside them. That's why they're still orbiting around you. Not because they've moved on, but because they haven't yet figured out how to face what your presence truly means to them. There are times when no words are spoken, no messages are sent, and no gestures are made. Yet you can feel a person's emotional presence as if they're still right there with you. This is the power of emotional energy. It transcends logic, distance, and even silence. When someone is deeply focused on you, when you're occupying their thoughts consistently, that energy doesn't just stay inside them. It radiates outward. You might find yourself thinking about them out of nowhere, feeling waves of emotion you can't explain, or sensing their presence even though they're not physically around. This isn't your imagination, it's your intuition, picking up on the connection that still exists between you. When someone is constantly thinking about you, their energy remains connected to yours. It's a silent tether that binds two people through emotional focus and intensity. They might be ignoring you on the surface, acting distant or unavailable, but deep down, the emotional tie hasn't been severed. You feel them because, energetically, they're still holding onto you. Their thoughts, feelings, and even their inner conflicts are projecting outward, and if you're emotionally sensitive or energetically aware, you pick up on it. You feel the pull, the tension, the longing, and it lingers even in their absence. What many don't realize is that emotions are not isolated experiences. They carry frequency and weight. When someone feels strongly about you, especially if those feelings are unresolved or suppressed, that energy creates a lasting imprint. You might feel drawn to check your phone at random times, have dreams about them, or sense that they are about to reach out. All of this is part of the invisible communication that occurs when someone is emotionally fixated on you, even if they're not speaking a word. Your intuition is often more accurate than your logic. If you feel that they're thinking about you, missing you, or feeling conflicted while ignoring you, trust that feeling. Energy doesn't lie. It's the one language that can't be manipulated or hidden behind appearances. When someone is truly thinking about you nonstop, you don't need proof. You feel it, and that feeling is the message they can't bring themselves to say out loud. When someone begins to ignore you, your instinct might be to react, to reach out, to seek closure, to demand answers. But true power lies in doing the opposite. Their silence isn't an invitation for you to chase. It's an opportunity for you to pause, step back, and reclaim your energy. The way you respond to being ignored sets the tone for everything that follows. If you stay grounded, composed, and focused on your own life, your energy begins to shift in a way that they can't ignore. You stop feeding the dynamic with emotional reactions, and instead you become a force they feel even more deeply in your absence. The reality is, when you step back into your personal power, your presence becomes louder than any words. You begin to radiate strength, self-worth, and emotional stability. That shift doesn't go unnoticed. The person who once felt safe pulling away now starts to feel the loss of your emotional availability. Your silence becomes a mirror for them, one that reflects the space they created and the impact of their own behavior. And in that space, they're left alone with their thoughts, their feelings, and the contrast between what your energy brought to their life versus what the absence feels like now. This isn't about manipulation or playing games, it's about embodiment. When you embody self-respect and emotional clarity, you naturally become magnetic. People are drawn to authenticity and calm confidence. If they were thinking about you before, your silence paired with your emotional growth amplifies that even more. They begin to realize that while they've been trying to manage their feelings by avoiding you, you've been evolving, glowing, and reclaiming your peace. So instead of trying to get a reaction, focus on becoming the version of yourself that no one can ignore, not through force, but through presence. The truth is, the more emotionally mature and stable you become, the more irresistible your energy becomes. If they truly can't stop thinking about you, your silence will echo louder than anything you could have said. And when you respond from a place of strength instead of desperation, the dynamic shifts completely. You are no longer waiting for them to return. You've become the version of yourself they can't stay away from,